Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWAS. Continuing on with college football week 5. Got a Big Ten matchup here. We're back in the big house. Minnesota, Michigan. Let's do it.
Welcome to the SWAS. The SWAS. SWAS. Hey, get the SWAS.
All right, like I said, Gophers are on the road in the big house here. Michigan's laying 9 or 9.5, depending on your sports book. This number was at 10 and got bought down. Sharp action came in on Minnesota, apparently. Total sitting at 38 or 38.5, depending on your sports book. So let's go ahead and get into this one, and we'll start with the pie charts. According to this data, public is slightly leaning Michigan. Sharp action is all over Michigan. But as I always say, take this data with a grain of salt. Let's talk about this matchup, and we'll start with the Minnesota offense, or lack of an offense, we should say. They've been throwing the ball. Actually, 38th in pass frequency. Could be a result of being down on the scoreboard a few times. Here are their offensive metrics. It doesn't look quite as bad as if you watch the games, you would expect these numbers to look a lot worse. They're 44th in OFEI, 73rd in yards per carry, 76th in yards per pass attempt. I mean, it's not absolutely terrible. The offensive line has done a decent job. 34th in run blocking grade, 99th in line yards, haven't created a ton of space. 52nd in stuff rate, 51st in power success rate. They've been decent in pass protection. I mean, 50th, 57th, 41st, 54th. The offensive line play as a whole has been pretty solid, and they do deserve some credit for that. But what are we doing here? We're talking about on the road in the big house. I mean, Michigan's defense, definitely not the defense they were last year, but they're still loaded with talent, and they're getting better every single week. With a lot of new starters on that defense, you'd expect them to improve as the season goes on, and we've definitely been seeing it. They still have elite numbers. 33rd in yards per play allowed, 19th in success rate. They've been elite against the run, elite against the pass, top 25 across the board in basically every single measurable metric. Defensive front has been savage to try to run on. 10th in run defense grade, 16th in defensive line yards, 43rd in stuff rate, 69th in power success rate. And something I want to say about the Michigan defense, so that game against Texas, right? We all watched that. We all remember Quinn Ewers just cooking on the Michigan defense, right? That's how I remember it. I watched that game. When you look at the stat line, he really did it. 24 of 36, 246 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, a 151 passer rating. That's a good game, but for some reason, I remembered it as Quinn Ewers just going off. That's pretty much his worst game of the season, was on the road in Michigan. And we saw what he did to Rayner, the Arkansas State kid. This was a Sun Belt freshman of the year, loaded with talent. 19 of 33, 140 yards, a pick, an 87 passer rating. He couldn't do anything against Michigan. And then last week against USC, Miller Moss, superstar Miller Moss, 28 of 51. He dropped back to pass 51 times, just 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, a pick, a 117 passer rating. That is not a good game. So how can we expect Max Brosmer to do anything here? And look, I'm not trying to shit on Max Brosmer at all. He transferred in from the FCS this year, and if you've watched Minnesota football, you know that he's been having a hard time. I mean, 814 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 picks, really struggling with pressure. His numbers when pressured are pretty awful across the board. This was a guy that was struggling at home against Nevada. At home in Minnesota against Nevada, 16 of 26, 191 yards, a touchdown, a pick, a 128 passer rating against Nevada. I mean, what can we expect? This on the road in the big house, that just sounds crazy. Probably not going to have any run support. I don't know how we can expect Minnesota to reach double-digit points in this game, honestly. Now, when we flip it over to the other side, look, there's not much to say. We don't know a ton about this new Michigan offense with Orji at quarterback. We know what the numbers say. This team can't throw the ball. They can run the ball, and it doesn't take an analyst or a data expert to tell you that. They're 66th in yards per play. They're 18th in yards per carry, 6th in effective rush, 116th in effective pass. This offense still ranked 21st in OFEI, but it's about as one-dimensional as you can get. Bad news for Minnesota is the weakness of their defense has been defending the run this year. I mean, this is a very good defensive front. And look, this says a 63rd in effective rush, 62nd in yards per carry. They're a better run defense than that. And I also think the Michigan rushing numbers against USC last week need to be taken with a grain of salt. USC had no game film. They had no idea what to expect from the Michigan offense with Orji at quarterback. He had never started a game. He always came in situationally. So, I mean, Michigan definitely had the element of surprise Rice here offensively, 46 carries, 290 yards on the ground, 6.3 yards per carry. I personally think now that teams have game film and can see what Michigan plans on doing with Orji at quarterback, that they'll be able to keep this from happening. So I don't necessarily think Michigan's able to run all over Minnesota. But as far as betting this game, this is a short video because, plain and simple, I don't think Max Brosmer and the Minnesota offense is going to be able to do anything in this game. So under 10, I had to take Michigan. I mean, I think if Michigan scores 17 points, they cover this number, honestly. Also would lean under, obviously, but as far as the bet I placed, I took Michigan. Michigan -9 in this one. If you'd like to see all the bets I currently have open, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on Open Bets. You'll see mine as well as everyone else on the staff here. Also, when you sign up to Sauce Network Plus, it comes with access to the Discord, and you can participate in the weekly betting league. $150 in one of these trophies go to the winner every single week. So if you're interested, head over to the website and sign up. Live shows, College Football Saturday, 10 a.m. up to kickoff. We'll be live, going through as many games as we can. We went through 30 last week. NFL Sunday, we're live at 11 a.m. up to kickoff. We'll go through every single game on the board. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. Let's have ourselves a nice week 5 coming off a good weekend here. I've had a very good weekend. Followed it up by betting the Jags on Monday night. So this week didn't get started off great, but coming off a good weekend, let's have another one. Remember to bet responsibly. Talk to you in the Discord.